What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Kostiw, and we have got a fantastic show in store for you. It's Friday night. I'm back in the Koffler Center, and I'm really excited to get another episode out to you guys. I know I said on my last episode that I was going to stop apologizing for when I was not posting episodes as scheduled or anything like that. I'm not going to really issue an apology, but I want to at least give you guys an explanation as to where I've been and why the schedule hasn't been as consistent as it has been in the past. So, the first thing I guess I can start off with is that, my transition into my new job with a graduate, as a graduate student and working in Bryan Athletics. It's been a great, road so far. I've enjoyed it. It's been some challenges, but mostly it's been an enjoyable experience. But it's just been a pretty decent time commitment, and just trying to find time to do shows in there has kind of been, I guess, the struggle. So that's just been the main reason for that. And then I guess the other thing is that just when I love what I do for a job. I love the fact that I get to work in sports, especially collegiate sports, and, promote athletes in that sort of a way. But I guess when you're just in that space for so long, analyzing stats and storylines, it can just it can get a little exhausting and nauseating just when you have to then try to turn around and do a show a little bit later. So I've been just trying to get back into that space. I still love what I do, but it's just been a transition. And I guess that's where I've been at with that. So now that we are back in store for things, I'm going to try to get a little bit more of a consistent schedule. I think next semester of my graduate classes, I won't have Wednesday night classes. So that will afford me the ability to do Wednesday shows again, which would greatly help out my schedule, because Friday nights can be tough with some game days and just different things happening here and there. So I think if I have some Wednesday night availability, that would really help out my schedule. So hopefully looking forward to that. And then Fridays, I'll try to make work as well. So with that being said, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to discuss the New England Patriots, starting off their season 2-7. We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, and they're pretty solid start to the season so far. Their overall record, they are currently 5-2. They got off to a ridiculous start this year. I know they just dropped 2 to the Sixers and then Timberwolves, but we'll talk about just like their overall team right now, what's going well for them, and just kind of some overall thoughts with that, and then the in-season tournament. And then we'll kind of wrap up with some MLB news and maybe even touch on some Bryant news that's going on. So I guess first things first, just holy cow, like the situation with the New England Patriots could not have gotten worse. And I'm not sure if I did an episode following the Buffalo game where they got the win over the Bills, last second touchdown pass to Mike Gesicki. That couldn't have been the biggest paper tiger in the world. Because we got that play, and I think a lot of fans thought, okay, this could be the turning point to where the Pats maybe turn this season around. The players might start to buy in and things will start to click. And immediately it just dropped off the face of the earth, and it just got 100% worse. And a lot of people thought that you couldn't lose to a team like the Commanders on Sunday, and they went out and did just that. Sam Howell had himself a day. He was just electric, and to say Sam Howell was electric is kind of a crazy statement. Mac Jones continues to just regress in a lot of fields, but I will talk about just how it's not all his fault. It's not like there are some things that he has not been great with, but he hasn't been getting a ton of support. So that's a big thing. And then also kind of talk about what's going on with the Patriots as they head into their next game against the Colts. So this team, they're heading into Frankfurt. They're going to be going to Germany, which I don't think that you could have this at a worse time in the schedule, because this team, you start off the schedule 2-7. Teams can't be feeling great about themselves. Seems to be some dysfunction going on with the coaching staff and whatnot. And in the midst of all of it, it's like, hey, let's board a plane for, I don't know how long a flight is to Germany, like let's say 6 to 8 hours, probably even longer. Let's go basically across the world and go play a football game in a random city and just try to see how that works. For a team like them, that is the type of trip that can break you. Because if you're not even for teams that are on top of the world and they are some of the better teams in the league, like the Chiefs or the Dolphins that went over there and played just recently, a trip like that can really just grind, and it just really it's not a fun trip to make. Like I've listened to like the Pat McAfee show before, and he's talked about that trip. going to London, which, Germany or even going further than that. So definitely can't be. I mean, maybe the players are able to enjoy the culture for a little bit, do some things like that, but just the jet lag, the hours difference, it can't be really anything that's enjoyable. So the team, they're going over there, they're facing off against the Colts, and this is a Colts team without Anthony Richardson. And I'd say with Richardson, maybe it'd be a kind of a cool game to see him break out, do what he's going to do, but he's going to miss the remainder of the season. You're seeing Gardner Minshew in this game, and maybe he'll hook up with Michael Pittman a couple times, make some plays down the field. But other than that, yeah, it's going to be a very just weird game overall. I don't know how Mac is going to be able to adjust in a situation like this. Because the main thing with him is he's just been all over the place this year. Like, you look at just everything going into this season. 2021 Mac, obviously people were so high on him. They thought, this is exactly what you want to see from a rookie quarterback. Some minor mistakes here and there, but the potential to grow and get better. Obviously 2022 happens. You see major regression. You think, okay, it's all Matt Patricia. You just got to get him out of there, figure it out. And they do that. They get Matt Patricia out. They bring back Bill O'Brien. And a lot of people think, okay, this is going to be the turning point. And you kind of start to see that as they get ready for the Philly game. And when they faced off against Philadelphia, they did, relatively respectable going up against the runner-up in the Super Bowl. I mean, Mac still had some mistakes, but from what you could see in that game, it felt like, okay, this might be the type of, coaching staff and whatnot that can get him back on track. And ever since then, it's been downhill. And it's just been, it was starting as kind of a slight regression, and then he just fell off the face of the earth. And he's back to 2022 Mac, probably even worse now than he was in 2022, because I think he's lost all confidence. He's making ill-advised throws. Essentially, his favorite receiver is the defense, which is just the worst thing that you can ever say about a quarterback. And he's just always essentially due for one bad play a game. And it sucks because I had high hopes in Mac Jones. I thought that from what everyone said, he was going to be the most pro-ready quarterback. He was going to be the guy most ready to go. And I thought, like, okay, yeah, like plug him in, give him some good receivers, and then, we'll see what he can do. That obviously hasn't happened. He got completely screwed over. And yeah, like as I said, like the loss of the Commanders, Mac didn't play great in that game. Like he made plenty of mistakes and he wasn't perfect in that game. But what I do want to say as well is that the Commanders, they had themselves a good day, but that can be reflective on just how the defense played. But the main culprit in a lot of Mac's errors is just the fact that he has no wide receivers. He has nothing out there. I mean, you can give him Pop Douglas. Mike Gesicki, I know, has made a couple plays. Hunter Henry can sometimes surprise you, but for the most part, he has no wide receivers. You let go of Jacoby Myers and you brought in Juju Smith-Schuster for the same amount of money, and Juju has no knee. He has nothing. And he has no speed. He can't make any plays. I know he scored a touchdown in Miami. That was some fluky play. And really, besides that, like you don't have any real wide receiver talent. Pop Douglas, like I said, can make some plays, but there's just no explosiveness with this offense. And that's what you need for a young quarterback. Like Josh Allen was able to get Stephon Diggs. Tua was able to get Tyreek and then Jalen Waddle. Mac Jones doesn't have that right now. And you need to at least get him some sort of support. Like, I know you can't surround him with all of these weapons, but, you could at least help him out. Like, Bill Belichick is leaving Mac Jones out to dry right now. And it's not like, I know he thinks that he can still do the same philosophy that you did with Tom Brady, which was, get a bunch of, unathletic kind of slot receivers, throw them in there and hope it works. And that's great when you have guys like Julian Edelman, Chris Hogan, Danny Amendola, guys that are just going to go out there and be grinders like the entire part of for all 16, 17 games of that schedule plus the postseason. But you don't have those guys anymore on this team. You have people like Kayshon Boutte, who, a lot of people thought was going to play last Sunday until he put out like an Instagram post that said "free me," and then people kind of freaked out, and he got benched for it. And then you have Pop Douglas and whatnot, and other guys getting disciplined, and it's been an ugly scene over in New England. And now we're seeing it kind of translate into this latest game where Bill Belichick is reportedly leaving a couple players behind. So J.C. Jackson, who was, Mr. INT, the undrafted guy. We bring him in here. He turns himself into a superstar, gets a massive contract from the Chargers. And, ever since he's got to LA, he was just been a disaster. And I don't know what went wrong with him, because I never really heard too many. I mean, maybe I'd have to go back and look at some stuff, but I never heard like too many like bad stories about JC Jackson. Like, I know you can be a cocky guy. You can go out there and, want to you can be a competitor, but I never heard any really truly bad stories about JC Jackson until he got to the Chargers. Ever since he's been with the Chargers, it's been a mess. Like, he's, reportedly not shown up to practices. He's been, just kind of been like an a-hole. And it got so bad that the Chargers GM had to address the team and apologize for even signing the guy. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how bad is it that like that happens? And I know Bill Belichick's thought process for it. He probably thought, okay, this has happened with a ton of other guys. Look at LeGarrette Blount in Pittsburgh, where, had some success with the Patriots, got a contract from the Steelers, flamed out there, and then came back to New England and then won another ring. I think that Bill Belichick thought, maybe not winning a ring right now, but he probably had a similar philosophy with JC Jackson and was like, all right, we'll bring him back in. We'll rehabilitate him, and, we'll get him back to, playing well. And whatever happened to JC in LA, he went completely Hollywood, and he's not coming back at this point. Like, he is just whatever he is. He's just whatever this version of him is now. He got his money. I think I looked this up the other day. I think he's going to make like $63 million, like, as his career earnings as it stands right now. So for him, he probably knows, like, all right, I'm a cornerback, most likely not getting a second contract like that much. So I'm set. I've earned the money that I've gotten. It's all guaranteed, and I'm going to just rest on my laurels now, and I can just be me. He doesn't need to be Mr. Nice Guy anymore. So I think that's just kind of where JC Jackson's at. And it sucks because you don't want to see that from, potential star corner, but that's a situation you have going on there. And then another cornerback too, which has been in the news for the Patriots, Jack Jones. He's just been a head case for them. Like, I can't even describe the situations that he's been in, bringing a gun through Logan Airport, getting arrested, trying to say that he had no knowledge of the gun and different things like that. So, somehow he beat that case and he was able to play with the Patriots for some games this year. I know he got hurt for a little bit, was, cleared to return to practice, and a bunch of different things happened. But now he's being left behind due to, I think, what's being called a personal issue. And now finally, one of the people that's supposed to be in charge of protecting Mac Jones, Trent Brown, he's now reportedly getting left behind. Bill Belichick was asked, I guess, apparently, is this like an injury or a personal issue? And then Belichick said, quote, both. So there is something going on with Trent Brown. And I guess a couple of weeks, Bill Belichick made the notion of saying that he wants to start over with this team. And maybe this is what that looks like. Maybe this is Bill Belichick starting over with the group, trying to reestablish a culture, and maybe it'll work. I mean, maybe he's going to say, like, okay, the guys that follow my rules will get to play. But with a team on the ropes like this, where it could really go down the tubes, I don't really know if it's going to work, man. I really don't. And I think that this is the type of game that can really make or break a team. And who knows, maybe people have been saying and speculating, oh, is Bill Belichick the coach of the Patriots on the flight home from Germany? I think so. I really don't think that Robert Kraft is going to make a decision like that in season surrounding Bill Belichick. Now, if he does, I'd be shocked. I'd be floored. And I wouldn't really, I would be completely stunned if Robert Kraft was to make that decision in season with the coach. Now, I mean, like, if the team gets completely obliterated by the Colts, like, who knows if Bill Belichick has like players quitting on him on the field and like mouthing off. You could look into a situation like that, but I think Bill Belichick, just because of his resume, has earned the ability to ride out a horrendous season like this one. I know he had like losing seasons, with us this past season and even in the 2020 COVID year, but like, you were like 7-9, you were a couple games under 500. Like, yeah, that does happen. You don't like to see it, but that does happen. I think that he has still earned the right to probably ride out a dumpster fire season like the one we're seeing unfold in front of us, which, as a football fan, you don't want to just piss away a season like this. You want to still see your team go out there and compete. But at this point, you have to look at the talent. You have to say, this team isn't competing in the AFC East. you knew from day one they weren't going to. And this is still an AFC East that's missing Aaron Rodgers, which that's a whole nother story in and of itself. But you have the Dolphins that have been a complete juggernaut. You have the Bills that have been going out there doing their thing, despite their struggles from time to time. And the Jets, I know that they've been down and out, but they've still managed to somewhat have a pulse. And, who knows if Rodgers' miracle cure and whatever's been going on with him, maybe he is able to play again this year, regardless of what he's saying. So, it was never going to work. And Bill Belichick tried to put this team together with duct tape and super glue. And you can't do that. Like it worked in the early 2000s where you were able to kind of, have parity and, and go through free agency and do all these different things and, get your guys. But it's different now. That you do need the speed to win. You do need you do need those actual athletes to go out there and win the game for you. Just the scheme alone, unfortunately, isn't going to do it anymore. At least the current scheme that we're seeing from Bill Belichick. Maybe there's another coaching scheme out there that can do it more successfully, whether it's the Philadelphia Eagles or the Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco offense. Maybe that's a better scheme that can just do it with universal players. I know we were seeing it with Brock Purdy. So maybe that's a scheme that can make that work. Who knows? But at least the one we're seeing right now, it's not working. It's not. And it's tough to say. And what's kind of one of the crazier storylines I know, at least coming out around Belichick right now, is, let me see if I have this. So for people on YouTube will be able to see this link. So 1 second. So there's apparently like a video going out about Bill Belichick, like reportedly like leaving someone's house, doing a walk of shame, blah, blah, blah. And this is coming from, I guess, Babs and the Mic on Twitter. And like, I'll play the video again. So it's Bill Belichick, on a Ring doorbell camera, like walking out of a house. Doesn't have a shirt on. Not a sight I was really ever expecting to see with Bill Belichick, if I had to be honest with you. Nor one that I ever wanted to see. But yeah, so that's Bill. He's walking out of the house doing his thing. And yeah, I really just don't know what to make of that. I think that if this team had their record flipped right now, I don't know if this video comes out, but I think this is the type of scandals or, scandals, I say in quotation marks, or just different crap that just starts to come up when your team is struggling. And, I think someone potentially has held on to this and waited to see, okay, we want to see Bill Belichick at his absolute, or at least what people determine to be his absolute worst. And then they're going to try to throw this Hail Mary attempt, this grenade to try to make the situation, even more dire for the Patriots and make them say like, oh, Bill Belichick's been struggling as a head coach. All right, now he's like doing all this like extra stuff outside of football. So now you got to make a decision. And I think it's the similar thing with like the Robert Kraft massage parlor story. And it's just trying to make like the NFL or the Patriots or just different people in general jump the gun and make like kind of a bad decision. And I don't think that Robert Kraft's going to do it. I don't think that there's really anything, at least from what I'm seeing with this story right now, that's going to substantiate anything else going on. So I did see that. And I think it's just bogus at this point. That's my take on it. So that's what I think with the Patriots. If you're a Pats fan, like, I don't know how you can feel good about them going into this game. Like not based on just like pure matchup, because I think that this team should be able to do well against a team like the Colts, but just with the way that they've been playing this year, this is the type of game where I think you could completely fall apart. I think it is. I hate to take a team like the Colts over the Pats because I don't think that they're that great, but just the morale of the team and where they're at, I think that the Colts, even if they don't think that they're Super Bowl contenders or even big playoff contenders this year, I think they at least still have some faith in their operation. I don't think the Patriots have that right now. So you have the Colts coming up. You got the Giants, which I know they lost Daniel Jones for the year, so maybe you can pick up a win in that sort of a game. The Chargers, weirdly enough, the Patriots have had the Chargers number in the past. Like Bill Belichick has been able to have a pretty good game plan for Justin Herbert. I don't think it's going to work here. I think that just this team is worse than last year's team. And I think that, even though it's in Foxborough, the home field advantage just isn't what it used to be. And I think that the Chargers do get that win. Steelers have been consistent enough. I think they can pick up a win. The Chiefs, I think, will roll you on Monday Night Football. Broncos, people have been calling this game the nightmare before Christmas. And because it's happening ironically on Christmas Eve. I mean, fair enough. I think that game could be pretty bad as well. Like, somehow I think the Patriots could go into Denver and win that game just because of how bad the Broncos are as well. After that, you go into Buffalo. And that's just going to be a buzzsaw because now they're going to be pissed off at the fact that you got that upset win over them in Foxborough. They're going to, who knows, they might 40-piece you that game. And then you end the season with the Jets, and maybe it's Aaron Rodgers' big comeback game because he's just trying to come back from that crazy Achilles tear. That's a crazy story in and of itself. I mean, we'll talk about that in just a second. But, if you guys aren't following the show yet, I just wanted to maybe plug this in the middle. Go give us a follow on all our socials and on streaming. So we stream this show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and also on YouTube. And then, we like to post, or at least I like to post updates on our Instagram page at down.to-the-wire. I do like a couple, sometimes I'll do clips from the show, do like breaking news updates as they come in. So just give that a follow there. I'm going to try to get back into maybe doing some TikTok, some reels, doing some cuts from the show. So that's what I'm going to try to do in the future. So definitely give us a follow on there. But yeah, like that's kind of what I had on the Patriots. With the Aaron Rodgers thing, that's some crazy news going on because, everyone saw him go down with the Achilles tear and people were like, oh my God, like, is this the end of Aaron Rodgers? And, it may not even be the end of Aaron Rodgers for this season because, I guess there was like some sort of a video where he went up to a player after like one of the primetime games and the guy said to him, oh, when are you going to be back? And you could hear Aaron Rodgers say like, oh, give me a few weeks. And I'm like, part of me is just like, this guy is like just completely full of himself thinking he can get back from this injury. I know there have been videos of him walking around and even dropping back and throwing footballs, but I mean, to go through the entire, to withstand an entire NFL game is a completely different thing. To walk into a stadium, toss a football around, hey man, that's great. Like, I'm glad that he at least right now can, potentially live a normal life after an Achilles tear, especially at the age that he suffered it at. But, yeah, I just don't think that it's a smart idea for him to come back. He's at least under contract. He should rest up this year, see if the Jets can get more talent in, and then try to come back and win it and like try to go out and win it with that team next year. Like, it's not smart for him to come back because if he goes out there and then, has a lineman fall in the back of his leg and that Achilles goes again, he's not just missing the rest of whatever this year is. He's missing all of next year too. So yeah, like, it's not a smart idea. And I just don't know why he's pushing himself like this. So it's frustrating to see. Who knows what that's going to look like, but regardless of it, the AFC East is an absolute buzzsaw and the Patriots are at its mercy. So that's kind of what I have in store for NFL news on the show. I'm going to do a little transition now over to NBA news and talk about a Boston sports team that's actually doing well. And that is the Boston Celtics. They are, although they lost their past two games to the Timberwolves and Sixers, they are still 5-2 on the year. They've been, on a roll, looking pretty good. And yeah, like this is a very interesting team to watch this year because last year we thought that it was a finals or bust year. This year, I don't know what could be like. I don't know what could be grander than this with the group that you put along, with the group that you created this year and the squad that you have. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, just all like those great guys that are out there for this team this year. It's an incredible roster. Somehow they were able to improve from last year. And, I got to give it up to one player in particular. Kristaps Porzingis he's meshed perfectly with this team. He has been awesome since he came here. He was dropping like 30 points throughout his first couple games. It arguably works better with Jason Tatum than Jaylen Brown does. And it's been just awesome to see him kind of revitalize his career here in Boston after some injuries and just being kind of stuck in the void that was Washington for a little bit. So it's exciting to see him get that opportunity here in Boston. So, I'm also glad that he got a somewhat normal number. Him and Drew Holiday, Holiday got number 4 and then Porzingis got number 8. It's kind of refreshing to see star players here have like normal numbers when, And I say star, but then you'll see guys like Evan Fournier when they were here had like number 91, and Blake Griffin. I think Blake Griffin had 91. I think Evan Fournier had like 97 or something weird like that. And yeah, it was stupid. It was stupid to see like guys with numbers like that. So I'm glad that Porzingis has a normal number, and same with that. Just from the eyes, it looks better. But yeah, just like my main concern with this team, like, and it's not in terms of talent, because I think talent wise, like this could, if you were to put this team in the finals right now, I think they win genuinely because of just like the amount of immense talent they have. My issue with them though is their depth, because once you get outside that starting five, you have Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, maybe, and then that's it. Like, you don't have any depth outside of your starting lineup, which I think is going to kill you down the stretch. Like, I was in a night class recently, and I had a professor who is a massive Boston sports fan. He even came up to me and like a group of people that work with me in athletics, and he shows us his phone and he goes like, "Oh my God, like they're killing this team right now." I think it was opening night, and he goes like, "Oh my God, like they're awesome, but they're not going to make it through Christmas with right now." Like, especially Porzingis, who, his big issue has been like just overall health. Like, he can't make it through a full season. So like, if he's being relied on this much, like, I don't know if this team can withstand making it to April, May, June, and, still being the group that we see right now. Because I don't know if I trust really Sam Hauser to step up. I don't know if Luke Cornett or O'Shea Brissett or any of these guys that we brought in are really going to be difference makers. I just don't think that's the case. So, yeah, it's just been a complete calamity. I think that, I don't know why I said calamity. Sorry. I was like, got distracted there, but I think that I think they do have the potential to go on a run and, make some things happen. So I'm excited for them nonetheless. Yeah, the other thing that I wanted to talk about the NBA though was the in-season tournament. So this has made some news, I guess, recently. And I'm actually surprised by this move, because typically I like to think that the NBA is like one of the smarter leagues with marketing and things like that. But this is one of the dumber decisions in my mind, at least from what I've seen so far, because like, the idea of it was to copy soccer, to where you have like Champions Leagues and different like in-season soccer tournaments, and it means something to the players, and you have different cups and things you can win. And I guess that's what the NBA tried to do by having the NBA Cup. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, you have the NBA Cup doing their thing, and it's all 30 teams in the league, and they're all going against each other. Now they have like these, let me pull this up. I saw this too. This was weird. They have like these different courts that they're doing. So if you see this, like up here in Group C, the Boston Celtics have like this green court with tan like center, and relatively that looks tame compared to some of the other courts that we've seen. Like look at the Chicago Bulls court. This thing is absolutely ludicrous. It's just completely red, and it looks hideous. It looks hideous. It looks like something that was like dragged from the 90s. And, they tried to make an idea out of it. Cleveland court's fine. I mean, it's like, and I say that just because it looks like somewhat of a normal basketball court, but like the Heat, like what the hell is that? Like the Hawks, like that's not even their color. Like that's not even their current color scheme. Like their current color scheme is red. So I don't know why they're doing that. The Warriors, like the blue. Oh, that's the Nuggets. I would have thought that's the Warriors. So what are the Warriors court look like? Where is the Warriors court? It says the Nuggets. Yeah, it's the Nuggets court. Where is here's the Warriors court. Yeah, that's a nice little court. Like that looks normal. I mean, like it's not like, I mean, it looks the most normal of these other courts, but like people were kind of upset that the Boston court didn't have parquet, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Like that's a traditional Boston thing. Like that wasn't my big grief with it. It just looks bad. And like, sure, if you want to have some extra meaning on these in-season games, fine. But, and like, yeah, like you want to have players playing these in-season games, and I understand you don't want load management to take over as much. But like, I hate to tell Adam Silver this, but at least if I'm the Celtics, if this team like qualifies for like the in-season tournament in Vegas, where it's not actual regular season games that matter towards your record. If I'm the Boston Celtics, I do not play your starters. I have a starting lineup of O'Shea Brissett, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard. Have Peyton Pritchard go off for 40. I don't care. But I would not have your main starters touch the floor. I wouldn't do it, because what's the point? Jason Tatum goes out there, blows out his knee in the NBA Cup tournament championship game, and then but the Celtics win it, and they're the NBA in-season champions, and then they get sent out in the second round. As a Celtics fan, that makes me want to claw my eyes out. That would drive me up a wall. So I don't want to see that whatsoever. And yeah, I can't see that. It would bug the crap out of me. It would bug me so much. I could not stand it. So I really don't like it, unless you're going to add on some sort of incentive, because the only thing I can see is if it's way too early in the season for it. But if you were to say, okay, the winner of this tournament gets a bye to the second round of the playoffs, or the people who are the two teams, from East and West or whatever groups that you do, you'll qualify for the next round of the playoffs, or you'll get at least a guaranteed playoff spot or something, then I could understand it. But just for another useless cup trophy, it's not going to matter. The NBA players, some of them don't even know what's going on. They're yeah, sure, the court's a little different, but we're just going to go out there and play basketball. And that's their just main philosophy with it. Cause they don't know what the hell's going on. Why would they? So I think the idea has just been stupid. I think that it's just not going to really work itself out. And if whatever teams make it to that championship game, if you're playing your starters, you are so dumb. You are moronic to play your starters in that game. So that's at least what I think of that. Yeah, I mean, the Celtics, I think they're going to be pretty good. In-season tournament sucks. That's kind of what I had for NBA news. Little MLB beat, which I didn't get really a chance to talk about, was Rangers Diamondbacks World Series. From what I can tell, it was, I watched some of the series. It was pretty fun to watch, at least from the games I saw. Really kind of sucks, I think, that Philly wasn't in this World Series, and not that I'm a Philly fan, but just the atmosphere that the bank and that stadium and those fans would have brought to this series. You saw it last year with the Houston series, where you had those two dynamic fan bases just going at each other all series long up until the very last game. And I think you could have gotten something like that with this, but Arizona just doesn't have that kind of hype, unfortunately. And it was cool to see them, back in it for the first time since 2001. It's the first time since I was born that they made it into this World Series spot. So it was great to see, but I am glad that the Texas Rangers got their first World Series championship, especially for one man in particular. That's Nathan Eovaldi. And I say that because last year around this time, actually, just over a year ago, it was November 8th, I had the opportunity to interview Nate as he entered into free agency. He had, just finished his last year with the Boston Red Sox. I talked to him about his success during the 2018 World Series, just growing up, some of the obstacles he had to overcome since he had 2 Tommy John surgeries and just a bunch of different things. And it was a cool experience getting to talk to him. And I remember one question that I asked him was that, do you think that the best is yet to come for your MLB career? And I had said it in a way that I kind of wanted to be hey, do you think your best is still yet to come in Boston? But, it still could have read as just your overall career in general. And he said that, yeah, I still do think my best is yet to come. I think that I can go out there to compete at a high level. And he went and did just that, because he went out this season in Texas, arguably had his best year yet, and was just an absolute stud. I mean, you got to give it to the guy. In the World Series, he was just a shutdown ace. And I'm really happy for him, because he went out there, he did his job, and the Rangers got their World Series championships, and it's the second one for him. So really happy for him with that. So that's kind of what I had in MLB news. I know the Red Sox, they'll be gearing up for free agency. Not really too much on that just yet, but I guess some final news as we kind of close things out would be just with Bryan Athletics. I know that they're getting ready for their basketball season. They've played their first 2 games of the year. They lost to Manhattan to open the year in a tough one. And then they, went on, they played their D3 team in Fisher. They blew the doors off them. So they'll be gearing up for another season. I know they're missing their head coach, Jared Grosso. He's on a leave of absence right now. Not a lot's known about it, but that'll be cool to kind of just see how this team grows. A lot of returning faces like Sharif Gross-Bullock, Earl Timberlake, Doug Eddert, and then a lot of new faces coming in too, like Rafael Pinzone, and just different guys along those lines. So I'm going to be excited to see how that team really goes and adapts this year. They have a really tough non-conference schedule this year, facing FAU, who was in the Final Four last year. You got Ole Miss on New Year's Eve. So it's going to be a fun season to watch. I think that this group has a ton of potential. I think that they still have a lot of growth to do as a team. Maybe I'll get a chance to talk to some guys like on the team again, like Timmy Kiggins, Miles Latimer, some of those guys, and see how they all come together throughout this year. So I'm excited for that again. And then I guess I do want to give a little shout out to Bryant Volleyball, because they're one of the teams that I cover, and Bryant Athletics. They qualified for the America East Conference Championship. Most likely will be held in Baltimore at UMBC, pending a couple situations happening this weekend. I will be going to Baltimore if it is down there, so I'm excited for that. And yeah, it's been a great time talking with you guys. I know I haven't done a solo show actually since I believe it was the second or third ever episode of Down to the Wire, which was when Tyler and Carter were still in the pep band for Bryant, and I think we're traveling to like a men's basketball game. So it's kind of fun doing this again. It was a little different. Kind of had to get back into a groove of it, but you know what? If it means kind of some more availability, I wouldn't hate doing solo shows. Just gotta kind of get back into that mode. So maybe do some solo shows. Definitely try to get some co-hosts back on. Do some interviews coming up. So I'm excited for that. But that kind of wraps up what we have here today. So I'm going to send you guys on your way. And I just want to say thank you again for tuning in. And from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Kostiw. So thank you again. Take care. Peace out.